All right, we bring you in. It is the first episode of One Fall. I am Sean Stanley, joined with Jakari Givens and Jonathan Romlicon. Romlicon,
Yes, sir.
Jonathan?
Romlicon, you
Yeah,
got
right.
it perfect.
All right, good deal, man. Good deal. So broadcasting has paid off for me here today. We're going to be discussing a lot about wrestling going on here. We're going to talk the WWE, AEW. Want to do a little bit of introduction myself. I was a 14-year veteran on the South Florida Indie side. I had a tryout with WWE when it was FCW at the time with Steve Kern and Dusty Rhodes and them. Got some stuff done there. Held the FOW heavyweight title for those that know Future of Wrestling. Some of the other ones around here worked IPW. Was lucky enough to be on a card with Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Abdul the Butcher, and Kevin Sullivan all in one match. So that's a little bit about where I'm coming from on the wrestling side. And also I am a fan. So that's that. Let's just call that what it is there. That is, and then Anthony, how you doing, sir? Thank you for joining us here on the first episode of One Fall.
Jakari, he's an avid supporter.
Yeah, good deal, good deal. Jakari, go ahead, give a little bit about the wrestling background. And everybody knows you from the Heat coverage and everything else. Give a little bit about the wrestling coverage.
Well, to be honest, I'm just a huge fan. I've been watching since I was yay high. I haven't missed a WrestleMania since I was 5. Now I've been subscribed to the WWE network forever. Now since its existence, so I don't miss any pay-per-views. I'm just a fan. I love it. I know people be like, "Oh no," but I really love wrestling. I'm just a good fan. So I have watched Indies, New Japan, AEW's around now, TNA back when they had the main event, Mafia, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles.
Good days.
Ring of Honor with Jay Lethal. So I'm just an avid fan, and I just love wrestling. I watch it on any promotion; it doesn't matter. So that's a little bit about me. So I've been a fan forever, and obviously now I'm on the inside of it. You know, I subscribe to different people to learn, different things, and I learned about the business. And I go to every WWE show that comes to Miami. Any show, I go.
Good deal, good deal. Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you covered the MMA and also the Heat, also with 5 Reasons, but give a little bit also about the wrestling.
Yeah, so I mean, the absolute reason I got into MMA was because of WWE, right? I heard about the rumors of Brock Lesnar in DC and doing that thing, but as far as my fandom goes, I mean, as soon as I was a kid, back when DX and, new generation DX, because I think I'm the baby of the group. So like in 05, 04, watching The Undertaker, Batista, DX, Rey Mysterio's, Legend Killer Randy Orton, obviously all those guys. That's kind of where I started. I have all the Raw versus SmackDowns for PS2s. So I have every single one of those games.
I got that too.
So yeah, just a big fan, and I've hopped kind of steered a little bit more into AEW. I went to Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing was fantastic. I went to the last show in Jacksonville for the time being, which was last week over there in Jacksonville. And man, I just love, like Jacare, man, I just love pro wrestling. It's just the stories within it, the story within the match itself. It's just so much fun. What is there not to love about it?
At 100%, man. I fell in love with it also watching it with my grandfather, and I'm probably the much older one in this group. I was watching Championship Wrestling from Florida when it was Dusty Rhodes and Kevin Sullivan, Mark Lewin, the Purple Haze, Scott McGee, and some of those other guys like that, Kendall and Barry Windham. So that's where I got started. And, of course, WTBS at the time, Saturday night main events and everything like that. But let's dive into the current product today. We're going to jump around a little bit here on the rundown that I sent, since we're kind of getting all of our what we like and how we fell in love with professional wrestling. What do you feel right now, the current state of what the WWE product is? Not necessarily, one thing that you like, one thing you don't like, but your current feeling right now on the product. Do you feel it's a good product right now? Do you feel something's missing? What are some of your thoughts on the current state of WWE products? Jakar, we'll start with you.
It's a little bit up and down. So for me, it's just they don't have clear direction most times, and they only know what to do with certain guys. So it's a little bit of a crapshoot each week. So I feel like the product is unstable. I will give them, you have to give them, push it to the side. It was COVID, no fans, so really and truly, what are you selling? And you were the only thing on TV for X amount of months, so you don't. And it's sort of like I wrote in our group chat earlier. WWE's problem is just like Madden. The product was so great when it first came out that you just fell in love with it, so you play it anyway or you watch it anyway. So that's the problem. But now with AEW around, it's gonna get a little bit better. So I think the current state is unstable, but I think they need new direction. Yes, they need new direction. I think Triple H is the guy who should be over. If you just look at NXT, just harping on NXT, they blow WWE product out of the water,
Yeah,
and they don't
it's
even
hard to believe
try.
they're the same. It's hard to believe that those two programs are under the same umbrella. When you watch them, it's almost a totally different thing. Continue, Jakari. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And I also like with WWE. To me, they focus too much on the top guys and no development. So you look at NXT where they develop guys. The Johnny Gargano of the world got developed. Before he was in DIY. They were losing. Him and Ciampa became the biggest rivalry. Like, you felt like you were inside of that. Like, man, and there was that takeover.
Mm-hmm.
And when Ciampa came out, hit him with the knee brace, and it's
Yep.
like, wow. So that story built up. And you also look at the current stars. You see how Oscar got built up. Sasha Banks was probably the best heel in NXT when she was down there. Bayley. So it's just the development. I think WWE lacks the development. So that's why I say it's unstable. Like, Roman Reigns is amazing right now. But you also, we're going to get into Aleister Black as well. You look at Aleister Black, who was great on NXT. Now he goes and Bobby Roode. We ain't even talked about Bobby Roode in how long.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. So it's just unstable. You never know what's going to happen with them. Are they going to kill a guy or are they going to bring him up? So it's just development is needed.
Jonathan, your thoughts on the current WWE state?
Yeah, I feel like right now, they try to focus on just what's coming up, and they don't really focus on the long-term storytelling. You can tell with very few of the characters on the roster that they're doing long-term storytelling. Like Roman Reigns, obviously you see it. You can see it a little bit with Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. But as outside of those two guys, there's really no long-term storytelling that there used to be, where you see guys, something heat up. They'll either make it happen too fast or they'll wait too long. So when somebody's, after they're over and everybody's burned out from it, like look what they did to Elias as well. He was very over, and then they didn't do anything with him. Another guy, talking to Rusev, right? Rusev Day was absolutely huge, and they could have capitalized on that as well, but they refused to do that.
They don't mean to cut you off, Jonathan, but
No,
they don't like guys that, like, they don't like good publicity when they don't create it. You know what I mean? Like, Rusev Day was organic, just came out of nowhere, and it started. Daniel Bryant, the Yes Movement, out of nowhere. That's just two guys. You look at the New Day, let's think about it. The New Day is probably one of the biggest players on the roster, right? But they started off as a church singing, blah blah, like nobody, and they took it over. Their Heat got over by themselves, and Dolph Ziggler's another guy. Any guy they didn't give that credit to, they don't want to use them.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes one of the things that I think is like, if you weren't created or a Vince McMahon thought, you almost get struck down. I look at one of the things that just happened recently, the Hurt Business. You had Shelton Benjamin, you had Cedric Alexander, you had MVP, you had Bobby Lashley on a main event role 2 weeks before WrestleMania. All of a sudden, now it's okay. We're breaking the group up, and it's one of the things. And when you guys were talking a little bit about the whole thing with NXT, I sometimes I feel like Raw and SmackDown are overproduced. It's almost too overproduced. They're too much working for just the cameras rather than having a show. I feel like NXT, AEW has that organic feel of them wrestling for the crowd. So the crowd gets into it, which for me, watching from the seat, if the crowd's getting into it, it almost makes me amp up more than trying to figure out. Like, and again, I know right now Raw and SmackDown, of course, are in the COVID era. They're in the Thunderdome. They're piping in the sound. Unfortunately, the last Raw I actually got on to the Thunderdome. I was a part of the crowd there, and it was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had watching wrestling. Having a guy pipe in and be like, "Okay, let's clap now. These are the baby faces. Okay, he's the heel. Boom, yeah." You know, they're almost walking you through, and then they're piping in the sound anyway, so they're not even getting the sound. All they're doing, they want you to be like, that's all you're doing for 3 hours on Raw, you know. So, and one of the things also is emotional investment. That's one of the things that I think they don't do. Whereas NXT, you know, you brought it up, Scar. There's you buy into the characters, what it's the development of them or whatever, but you find you get emotionally invested. How many times they turned Johnny Gargano and Ciampa babyface and heel, good guy, bad guy, however you want to look at it. No matter what, they don't lose any heat or anything from them because you've emotionally invested in that product. And that's one thing I don't think that they do that well once you get to the quote unquote main roster of Raw and SmackDown.
That Johnny Gargano and Ciampa match, I think, for the NXT title was one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. Just seeing how it was like I'm at home and I was literally standing up like let's go, Gargano. Like, this is your moment. And you don't feel like that. Like, I felt like that with Daniel Bryan, where you was like that. Obviously, I felt like that with CM Punk. Like, this is your time. You know, like, where I was emotionally invested. I was emotionally invested into Bray Wyatt. Because I absolutely love how he works. I feel like he's like a modern day Chris Jericho, which no matter what they give him, it's just he makes it work. So I'm emotionally invested, but that's a great point, Sean. Like, it's no character which I'm like, damn, like, I hope he wins. Like, I don't have that feeling anymore. I do in NXT. You know, obviously with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly,
baby.
You know, you feel like, man, damn, I want Kyle O'Reilly to get over. So and it does. Triple H just does it, man. He just, the emotional investment in characters that you have, like, I think WWE's had one of those in the past 2 years, and that was Bianca Belair. I think people got behind.
Yeah, no, I think Bianca Belair is one, and then I think right now the one, again, I want to see how it plays out in front of a live crowd because of the way everything. But I think the Nikki Cross character, the new almost a superhero, if they work that good, I think that's something that some fans can get behind. Not saying I'm in love with it, but that's something that at least people can get behind to, you know, at a live audience, because a lot of this has been prepared in front of a Thunderdome, not a live audience. There's a lot of stuff they've been doing now. They're not going to be able to do once they start traveling again. You're not going to be able to do the Alexa Bliss disappearing and showing up on top of a turnbuckle and all that stuff.
All Ricochet jumping into John Morrison.
Yeah.
And I think the first live show is next Friday.
Next Friday. Next Friday. I was a week ahead. I thought it was this Friday, but yeah, it's next Friday.
It's next Friday, and then Money in the Bank is that Sunday.
Yeah. Yep.
So I want to see. I want to see what they come with. Like, now it's put up or shut up for them because AEW is knocking them out the water with the shows they bring in.
And one of the things that's funny though with the AEW whole thing is that when you look, like, their ratings for some, I'm trying to read what it says. Do you think WWE, this is from Anthony, do you think the WWE is going to give Jimmy Uso an ultimatum? You're going to rehab, you're fired with the amount of DUI arresting he's had the past few months. We'll dive into that in a minute after we finish this, Anthony. We'll dive into that. But one of the things that to me is going to be interesting to see is they're going to be doing Friday SmackDown Live, a Super Show Saturday, Sunday when there's not a pay-per-view. In the Raw will be live on Monday. That's going to be there at least until the September 7th edition of Raw at Miami. That's their schedule. They're going to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get back into this, because a lot of them have not been, you know, one show a week now. Now they're going to be getting interested to see injuries maybe mounting up as well. You know, I mean, I know that's one of the things a lot of people, especially on my timeline on the thing, hits Tony Khan all the time for injuries with AEW, which when I look back at it, I'm like, I don't think there's a whole lot of injuries. Yeah, there's been some injuries, but nothing like, I mean, it's wrestling.
AEW seems to get hit with like minor stuff.
Yeah,
WWE it get hit with major, like
That
Tegan
shoulder,
Knox.
that hip.
Tegan Knox just came back from the ACL.
ACL.
I seen Montez Ford's probably gonna be out for a while with his injury. So it's like they get hit very
Yeah,
hard.
Karrion Kross had to drop the title because he tore his pectoral in that match.
Finn Balor had that one day, and that kind of killed. And I'm interested to see how he comes back into NXT.
Yeah, no, there's a lot going on there. Let's dive into what Anthony had brought up with Uso there. What are some of your thoughts, Jonathan, when you're looking at that? Again, this wasn't on the rundown, but with Uso, what do you think's going to happen with him as far as, again, he was out injured, he comes back, it's put into a main event role, and now another DUI. And listen, this young man has a young man for me, for everybody else probably older guy, but he has a problem, and the issue that he's 35 right now, he's in the prime of everything going on. He's in a main event role, and also I think he's in a position to where this whole angle almost, if everything I'm reading is what they're trying to work to, the bloodline angle right now, where the foundation is with the Usos, is the starting point to get ultimately to the finish line that they want to get to. If they have to stop this angle now, I'm wondering what they can do. But do you think they give them an ultimatum? It's rehab or bye-bye, or do you think they just cut their losses?
It's hard to tell because, like you're saying, the ultimate goal with this storyline is to get the whole bloodline together. Why? Because they want to get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson versus Roman Reigns. That is the finale of this storyline.
And that's the only way he's gonna drop the title from everything I've read. That he won't.
I don't think he drops the
title
title there. I think he keeps it. I think he beats Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson so they can keep building up Roman's character until they can build a massive babyface. Because what happens if The Rock wins the title? He's not going to win the title and be active, right? He has too busy of a schedule. It's for Roman Reigns to kill The Rock, like he's probably going to do if John Cena shows up for SummerSlam, right? It's for him to become that generational superstar of this generation. And if he can do that, then you have the massive babyface a year or two from now, whether that's Matt Riddle or somebody that we don't even know yet. Now you can have that guy take the full rub from Roman Reigns, and you have this massive babyface that you can build up. So it's hard to say what they're going to do with Jimmy Uso because he's so crucial to the storyline, with Jay being out. Now, in the storyline, of course, him coming back from injury and having this role and, Roman being disappointed in him and having that trust in his brother, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because do you make that ultimatum and now you risk that Rock versus Roman Reigns, which is one of the biggest matchups that we can have, or do you just kind of, you focus on his health and move forward from there? So unsure what they're going to do. Go ahead.
From a standpoint of this, we're talking wrestling right now, but from a life standpoint, he got to get it together.
Yes.
So he needs to take care of the issue. Like I said, I don't know him personally. We're just here to give analysis. Yep. But you got to get that taken care of because to me, that's dangerous. It is dangerous. So this is easily a conversation. We're talking about DUI. We can easily be having a conversation about his best moments right now because he passed from drunk driving. So he has, absolutely. From an angle, I want to talk about it from a wrestling standpoint, but the first time it's like, okay, maybe you had a mistake. The second time, okay, maybe. But come on, man. This is what, 4 or 5 in the past.
2 in the last 2 years, and this one was a .202, a .202 and a .205.
That's double.
Just drinking a couple beers and driving if you're blowing a .202.
So I'm done with that. I want to talk about it from a wrestling standpoint. What angle is gonna get? He got to get help. The angle's gonna be alive regardless because if they.
Oh, I'm not sure what happened here. Did we lose Jonathan as well? Oh,
No,
Jonathan, you
I'm
back?
still here. Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
good.
All right. Yeah, and then hopefully Jakari gets back on here in a moment, and here he comes back in so he can finish up his, because I don't want to move on until he gets to finish. Jakari, you back
There
on?
we
Go
go.
ahead, finish your
Cool,
thing.
cool.
Finish your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know why this is, but yeah, I think if they get a commitment from The Rock saying, "Hey, I'll be there for WrestleMania," I don't think they care how they take the angle, because the angle is already built. If The Rock says, "I want to fight Roman Reigns," like, we already know where this is going. And to be honest, I don't see Roman ever being over as a babyface. I think this is who he is.
Yeah. I think they finally found a spot for Roman Reigns right now. This is more him as far as being, what he is. He's an arrogant, almost, it comes off as an arrogant guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this whole,
Family over everything kind of thing.
The table chief, or what is he?
Head of the table.
Head of the table, tribal chief. There he is.
And I kind of hated they brought him back before the fans, because imagine how he would have got over with the fans with that when he came back. Because Roman, I'm emotionally invested in. I cut on SmackDown just to watch him. Because I know this is money. And another guy I'm gonna get like that with is Big E, if they give him the push that they supposed to. But to the Jimmy Uso future, he got to get help. And Jimmy, if you ever watch this pod, please get help, brother. It's for your own life. It's not for us.
Yeah, no, 100%. And let's move on now through that. I think you hit the nail on the head, Jakar. It's more about life than it is about a wrestling angle. We'll see what they do work on. And remember, WWE is not afraid also of throwing real life into an angle. And one of the things is that, Roman always says he's disappointed in them. Do they write this in somehow to kind of be a Hard Knocks type story with Roman being disappointed in him in this step? I mean, we've seen it, going back a long time ago. Road Warrior Hawk, rest in peace. They did the angle with him when he was drinking and things like that. Scott Hall played out in WCW as well when he had the drinking problem as well. Neither one ended well for either of the gentlemen involved. So hopefully they do get Jimmy Uso some help, whatever they have to do with them, if they either give him an ultimatum or whatever. Like we said, life more than wrestling. Let's dive into what happened on last night. Let's go last night, and then we'll go to the Great American Bash. We'll cover Tuesday night as well. AEW Dynamite emanated from the James L. Knight Center here in the beautiful downtown Miami area. Overall thoughts on the show, Jonathan? We'll start with you at this time.
I mean, I absolutely love this show. Like, I think they started off with the Cody Rhodes and the QT Marshall strap match, which honestly I didn't really care much for the feud, but the match was really good. You can tell that the crowd kind of simmered into it, got behind Cody. And just short little story on Cody. He actually stopped by and when I was at Daly's place last week to take pictures with everybody. I got a picture with Cody Rhodes. So he's a super nice guy overall. I told him thank you for saving pro wrestling, because I feel like that's what AEW has done. But they did a great job with that Cody Rhodes match. The trios match between the Pinnacle and Inner Circle was absolutely phenomenal. I think it was well placed. The way that Sammy Guevara backstage got back as Shawn Spears, they're obviously going to start building that up for the future. I think they've done a pretty good job with Shawn Spears. Now it's going to be his time to shine, getting that Sammy Guevara rub, because how over Sammy is. When he was live in that match against MJF, that was absolutely crazy how over he was, especially with that flying senton over the top. But getting back to tonight's show, they cut actually during the strap match, the lights went out, and I'm like, okay, they talked about the storm, maybe that's happening, whatever. And then they have a promo with Arn Anderson and Tony Schiavone in the ring, and the lights go out once again, and then lights come back on, and lo and behold, mother freaking Tommy End. What do they call him? Something Black. Malachi Black.
No,
that's what it
Malachi
was.
Black, yeah.
In there, in a leather suit. He has the eye. He has the piercing. Delivers that beautiful round kick to both Cody and Arn Anderson. Holy smokes. Like, I did not expect this at all. This was one of the few times I actually got like a pop in my chest, like from watching it, pro wrestling. Like, it was crazy to see him, because I thought he had 90 days. We talked about this a little bit in our earlier group chat. We thought it was 90 days. It ended up being 30 days because he was on that NXT contract. But then they had that face-to-face with Chris Jericho and MJF, and that was phenomenal. I was laughing my ass off when he was like, one of the tribulations is, if you make me sleep with your mother, I'll do it again. And then when he said that again, absolutely phenomenal. I was dying, laughing my ass off. Chris Jericho and MJF, phenomenal promo. I'm excited and curious to see what they do with the Trials of Jericho and do with that. And then I think that was it. They had the mixed tag match with Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy, and that was fun as well. Seeing Chris Statlander hit that 451, and I thought Orange Cassidy was going to get that pin. Would have been absolutely crazy. Would have put Chris super over, and I think they need to protect her until she gets to that championship belt. But then you had the main event. You had Penta El Cero Miedo and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks, and I love the Bucks, dude. No matter what, the Bucks are fun. But that was a great match. Perfectly done. The Bucks lost twice, but the referee wasn't there, and the Young Bucks ended up getting the win the perfect heel way. Some thumbtacks right to the face with a super kick right to end it. Phenomenal way to end AEW Dynamite. Absolutely beautifully done.
Jakari, go ahead. You got anything to add?
I just, you hit all the points. Obviously, Alistair Black, now known as Malachi Black, like him coming is just like the icing on the cake. So I really loved it. Like I said, AEW from reports are going to more towards of loaded shows, just so they can. It's a good competition based thing for them. Like, hey, like I know every week I'll be able to watch AEW and see a great show. So I everything you said, like I can't really add on because all my thoughts are the same. So I like I said, I love AEW.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah, I think we might have lost him again, but we'll get him back in once he gets back in. Oh, is he moving again? I think he moved. There he is.
Yep, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't. They need more women wrestlers. That's the only thing I think wrong with AEW.
Yeah, that was going to be the one thing that I want to point out. Besides the fact that you had two WWE recently released stars make one in-ring appearance, which was Andrade Idolo. I can never get that.
I don't know how WWE dropped the ball with that guy because he was money in NXT.
Yeah, I put that in my timeline, and somebody came back with he doesn't speak English, and I'm like, dude, if you can't get somebody over in the ring because they can't speak English, that almost drives home some of the problems probably with what's going on with WWE. Right. And then the fact that go ahead, Jakar.
Do you, Sean and Jonathan, to harp on the two recently fired? Do we see Braun Strowman in AEW?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so because he was making so much money with WWE. AEW is not going to be able to give him that bank. I don't think. Now, does he do a one-off appearance? Possibly, but I don't see him coming in to be.
I think he go back to WWE.
Yeah, I think when you see WWE start touring, I think you're going to see some of these guys get. The ones that want to go back will probably go back. And Braun Strowman probably one of those that want to go back. Now, most of them probably would not want to go back because I'm sure, like taking, Matt Cardona, for instance, he's probably wrestling more now than he did the last 2 years with WWE, with the indies and everything else that he's doing now. And then also when you guys are talking about Malachi Black making his debut there. And again, a lot of people thought he had a 90-day clause. It comes out that, hey, WWE made a mistake. They forgot to update his contract. And now, I don't know if you guys follow Fightful Wrestling. Sean Ross Sapp, he had an interview.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. He had an interview with Buddy Murphy, which released at 8:00 tonight. And I watched a little bit of it. And they actually called Buddy Murphy the day after and was like, look, we messed up. We gave you a 30-day and we meant to give you a 90-day. But he looked at his contract, and his contract was a 90-day. So I think they must have gotten mixed up and probably called him, and they probably needed to call Aleister Black. That was the contract that was the 30 days, not Buddy Murphy. And then Buddy Murphy was like, because again, with the 90-day no-compete clause for them, they're getting paid their downside guarantee for those 2 months. They're still getting paid by WWE for the 3 months that they can't work. So Yeah, they're sitting at home, but they are getting paid. And I guess, they asked him, we want to up you to the 90 days and we'll pay you. And he was like, I'm already at 90 days. So I'm guessing Aleister Black was the one that had the 30 days and they didn't know which competitor they released, because they've released feels like 100 people in the last half a year.
They released, I think it was 16 this year, if I'm right. You have Buddy Murphy. They released Selena Vega. But she came back, obviously. Braun Strowman. Samoa Joe before he came back. A couple of NXT Fandango. Breezango, I think, actually released both of them.
Yeah, they released both of them, yeah. And the Everrise tag team from NXT. They released a few of the NXT.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like, hey, here you go. You get on this week, and then we'll release you the day after. Good, there you go, buddy. Out the door.
It's crazy how they did that, but it's also crazy how well AEW is building all these stars. And to answer your question about Braun Strowman, I don't think Braun Strowman goes to AEW because AEW kind of has their big man, right? They have their dominant big man in Miro, and he does a great job. And they also have Lance Archer, who's another great big man. They have a couple of big men that they still have yet to build. So to add Braun Strowman to the mix, somebody who's kind of a one-trick pony in my opinion, not really the fit for AEW where they have more skill-based wrestlers, but having these two guys, Aleister Black and Andrade El Idolo, come in. These are two main event guys that WWE failed to build correctly.
International stars as well. International, both of them.
Exactly. Those are global stars. Excalibur talked about 15 years ago him wrestling Tommy End before he was on the scene, and these guys wrestled around the world. And like you said, global superstars. If you're any level of a casual wrestling fan, you know who these guys are, and these guys are main event talent. They're main event promos, right? Because they're able to present themselves in a way they can promote themselves without speaking on the mic, and that's what makes them so good. And that's what WWE fails to do with a lot of their characters. So I think it's phenomenal. They're in AEW. I think it's great because now it's just more main event talent. They already have such a great stacked main event, or that main level card, upper card ratio. It's just more now.
Yeah, and then also now you have to remember they got the AEW Dark and the AEW Dark Elevation.
Yeah, one of the girls that I went to high school with, Red Velvet. Red Velvet is on AEW. Shout out to her. Went to high school with her. She's a really good person. I remember her trying out for WWE, and now she's on AEW. Her and Jade Cargill had a nice little rivalry. So just a little tad bit out there.
That's somebody that needs to get pushed. Jade, to me, needs to get pushed. She's money. She's money. Yeah, man. I understand why they probably aren't right now pushing her that way, but they definitely need to start working, getting her in. They're doing great right now with her by just kind of holding her back, not getting her in the ring a lot, just nobody touching her. And when she gets in, she kind of dominates, but definitely, and that'll bring me to, go ahead.
I do think she's going to sign with WWE though. I think
okay.
I think she'll be better because I think WWE is more focused on the women's scene than AEW is.
Yeah, I could see that because that was going to be the next topic that I had listed there was the fact that this is their first live traveling show, and there was no women's match on the Dynamite card other than the intergender, which included Statlander and Bunny.
Yeah,
but the women were not on there. You had an interview with Britt Baker, I believe, and I believe that might have been it. I don't even know if Nyla Rose got a little bit of. Oh no, I think she did get a backstage segment.
Yeah,
or was that on the? Go ahead, Jakari.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I have a problem with AEW. Like they don't feature the women's enough, so I think that's probably going to be their downfall in the wrestling world.
Yeah, it's weird with AEW because for a while there, I thought they had built the women back up, and they had Britt and Nyla and Jade and Velvet, and it felt like, okay, they've got something here. And then it kind of just went away in like 2 or 3 shows. It was like, okay, guys, let's just start this going back up. And they kind of pushed the women's division back down again. It's almost taken probably 3 steps back.
Yeah, so I don't even see them like it's so like that's the thing. WWE fails to develop their men, but they do a great job developing the women wrestlers for some reason. I don't know why. Like I don't know who's behind it. but they do a great job. Like Rhea Ripley's
Usually it's
doing
Tyson
okay.
Kidd. Tyson Kidd usually works with the women, and I believe if Fit Finley's still there, but I'm not sure if they brought him back or not yet.
Yeah, but Tyson Kidd's amazing. He's
Yeah.
one of the best producers in wrestling world.
Yep. Yeah, you see every time with the women wrestlers, whenever they can, they're throwing the praise over to Tyson Kidd there. Let me get your thoughts though, and the last thing on the AEW Dynamite, the Adam Page Kenny Omega build for the title. Now, this is a build that has been probably started when Hangman Page actually lost the title the very first time before AEW started their live shows. He lost the title to Jericho in the finals for the AEW, the first ever AEW champion. And thank you there, Kai Chen Chisholm. And so, he loses it before AEW even hits the airwaves. He's lost the title. And now for the last 2 years, this has been a ride that everybody's been on, the Cowboy shit ride and everything else that they've been doing with them to build up to now. You finally saw a face-to-face yesterday, and I thought it was great. The one thing I thought they did great on this whole part was they did not touch. Page beat up everybody else, threw everybody else around. Him and Omega never touched, and Omega rolled out and left. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on the Page Omega build. To me, I think it's one of the things that they've quietly done very, very well.
Well,
Yeah,
Omega's just a superstar anyway. So
Yeah,
whatever he does
that.
is gold for me. Go ahead, Jonathan. Whatever he does is gold.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. First of all, whatever he does is absolute gold. But getting into the depth of this storyline, I actually saw a thread on Twitter, and I want to credit that person, whoever it is. But, it starts off with, actually, I think before in New Japan Pro Wrestling with the Bullet Club, he was the young guy of the crew. It was with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. I believe Cody was in there too. Not 100%
for a
sure.
time, Cody was there.
But, starting off there, they come over. He loses the match to Jericho. I want to say thank you to Andrew Green on the $4.99 dono. Congrats on the new show. I want to thank you so much. You're the first dono, so you're going to be remembered in 5 Reasons Wrestling history
There
for
it
the
is.
first
Andrew
ever
Green.
donation for our wrestling show. It's called.
Put him in the Hall of Fame later.
You're going to be in our Hall of Fame. But getting into this, it just built phenomenally, right? I believe he lost the first match to Jericho, and that was his first title match. He has the kind of alliance with the Young Bucks. He starts drinking a little bit. Goes on that downfall, comes back up, pairs up with Kenny Omega, wins the tag team's titles, right? Kenny Omega still kind of has a little bit of a bitter taste on his mouth because of the drinking of Hangman Adam Page, the negative mentality he has. He loses again. They build him up, obviously, rest in peace, Brody Lee. The Dark Order comes and kind of saves him from being this, sad, down in the dumps guy that never believes in himself. And now he's coming up, and like you said, they didn't touch, and I think that was very key because it just kind of they're incrementally pushing up Hangman Adam Page, and this man is over as anyone can get, and I think it's perfect. It's an amazing slow burn that they've been having for the last 3 or 4 years, honestly, since the beginning of AEW and even before it. But I think this is one of the matches that can honestly define AEW and really set the tone for what this company can be for the next 10 years.
I compare this to the John Cena versus The Rock deal, where they kind of kept them separated for so long, and then they finally had that match. But I like I said, whatever Kenny Omega touches, he's just gold. So I love this. I can't wait for this match because it's gonna be explosive. And I just hope that they let them do what they do. I don't want this should be probably one of the few unscripted matches that they have, because I think if they just get them two guys, hey, just come up with a finish and let them do what ups to lead up to that finish. That match, at that point, we'll be talking about AEW as the powerhouse flagship because they have.
Now they're building this match. Probably, I would say their next pay-per-view. I'm guessing maybe not. I mean, possibly their next pay-per-view, give or take. Now, if it is on their next pay-per-view, does Adam Page beat Kenny Omega at this point?
Yes, they have 2 months to build it up. They have 2 months. I think it's September 8th in Chicago, and I might be going to that because I got addicted to AEW shows
Yeah.
now that I've been to one. So yeah, I think they do it in Chicago. I think it's the perfect time, right? It's
Chicago has one of the best crowds, so they
exactly.
know
That's what I was gonna say. It's the perfect time because the
They've sold
crowd.
out. I think the whole weekend is sold out that they're doing there. I believe they're doing a Friday show. The Rampage show, I believe, starts that week. So they'll have Rampage there, the pay-per-view, and then AEW Dynamite, I believe, as well. And all 3 shows, I believe, are already sold out in the Chicago area. So Jonathan, if you don't have the tickets, you're probably going to be paying a little bit of an arm and a leg.
That's fine. I do got to do what you got to do, right?
That's all out, right? Is that all out?
That is going to be all out.
Yeah. Right now, they're on the what is not the black market? What's the secondary market right now? They're going for
right.
Second row tickets are going at $4,000. So.
Jeez.
So it should be good. Let's move forward to Tuesday night, the NXT Great American Bash. I thought that show was. I thought the Tuesday, Wednesday shows, to me, are probably the best 4 hours of wrestling during the whole week. To me,
100%.
Those 4 hours are tremendous. But what's funny is when you look at the ratings on TV, when you add them up this week, they will barely beat what Raw drew. Raw drew 1.4 million. NXT did 630, and last night AEW did 850. So and then SmackDown was about 1.6, 1.7. So the viewership, it's very weird because to me, I honestly thought if that show last night didn't do 1 million, then AEW has an issue. But that show was superb, and they still didn't get the 1 million, and they went up against the Stanley Cup Game 5. They didn't have any NBA. They're getting back into their Wednesday time slot. Maybe some of that does play a role, but to me, it's always they're talking about, how AEW's on the roll. I think it becomes a player when they start getting above the 1 million viewers. When they can get that consistently, then it's game on at that point, And talking about the NXT show, I enjoyed everything that they did on this show. One of the things that what they do. Hold on a minute, Anthony, ask another question. Who do you guys think, and who do you guys want to win the breakout tournament for NXT? I want Josh Brooks, twin, but I think Odyssey Jones wins the tournament. Odyssey Jones is a big boy. I saw him and I was like, whoo.
That's a big dude.
That's big boy. I like Carmelo Hayes, man. I like those guys. When he fought, he was the one that fought Adam Cole, right? Carmelo Hayes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then the one that fought Kyle O'Reilly the week before was the one that was right in front of him. I don't know all their names right off the top of my head. I apologize for that.
When we get to that point, I'll list them off, but you can continue.
I think it's Tyler Baxter or something, maybe, possibly. But when you look at what they do, again, this is what NXT does, a breakout tournament. And it's not just guys fighting each other. No, they actually get a chance at a title at the end of this tournament. So they're fighting each other for, I think it's points. They get so many points for wins and things like that. But it's a way of getting some of the guys that you've never seen before over. When you look at some of the guys, last year was Swerve, who's not part of Hit Row.
Swerve and what's my boy? The big guy. I can't think of his name on the tip of my tongue. Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
Who's about to die on the main roster. So.
Yeah, and that scares me, man. When I saw him, guys, him and Karrion Kross going up there really hurt my feelings.
I'm not concerned about Kross because I think they'll use him more in the Drew McIntyre role where he just rolling through guys. I'm not afraid about that. But I do think that I don't know. The thing is when they go up is we seen them at their highest. You know what I mean? Like we seen Finn Balor at his highest, the Demon King. We seen Samoa Joe at his highest when he was out there. We seen these guys at their highest, and when they get to the main roster, Oscar, it disappoints you because Shayna Baszler was a boss. I used to love to watch her with the Karaguda clutch out there, like putting people away, Ace of Spades. But now it's like, okay, she's in the tag team scene.
She's a jobber, dude.
Yeah, so it's similar to, you see a guy working at ESPN and now he's at, FS2 is like, well, damn, we seen this guy at his highest, now he at his lowest. So it's like you don't even have no emotional investment, and I think that's a lot of the time what happens. Like, I don't want Cameron Grimes to go anywhere. I think Cameron Grimes should be forever NXT, and I think the guy like. Because NXT and AEW are similar. They have skillful wrestlers. WWE, like, the main roster is more of image guys. Like, okay, they like the looks. So that's why I think you get the best 2 hours on Tuesday and Wednesday.
I mean, it's tough because, when you invest so much emotionally into these people, like you said, especially like Demon King Finn Balor, right? Or guys that are coming up now, Bronson Reed, Karrion Kross. WWE will take them and then it'll tweak them and they'll mess them up, right? You had heavy machinery. Why would you break up? And I love what they're doing right now with with Otis and Chad Gable, but still, like, why would you break up American Alpha and then why would you break up heavy machinery and then put these guys together? They take everything from NXT and they kind of mess it up. They kind of try to put their own WWE twist on it. Go ahead.
And Chad Gable's a fucking dog in that fucking wrestling ring. It's fucking amazing. One of the best wrestlers I ever seen in my fucking life, man. And I feel like he needs to get repackaged and send him back down to NXT because he's a star.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's the WWE. It's Vince McMahon. He has this image of what he thinks a pro wrestler should be. Honestly, he has this. And again, I don't know that a lot has changed from before. And like I said, when I went up to FCW, I thought the weirdest thing was they had outlines on the wall that you stood in and see how your body types are similar and not similar to some of the guys that were on the roster at that point. Your Batistas, your big guys. Okay, does he fill into that roster? And listen, I was overweight at that time, and I was considered a fat guy, and I was told the fat guy quota was filled. That's why I didn't get signed. The fat guy quota was filled. They were allowed 2 fat guys in the FCW at the time, and that's why I was not signed. So
that's just
there's this vision
about Kevin Owens.
Yeah, no, yeah. I cannot believe that Kevin Owens has gotten the pushes that he has, because when he first got there, I was like, oh, this guy is so opposite of a Vince McMahon wrestler. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. Don't get me wrong either. And then when you see that, and again, but ultimately what it comes down to is when they see that these guys can make them money, then the attitude changes.
And I need Kevin Owens to I think Kevin Owens should go back to NXT too, because I think he'll be a great challenger for Gargano, who probably is going to take the NXT title. And I want him to get rid of this damn KO stun shit. I like pop-up powerbomb, Kevin Owens coming in there, fight Owens, fight. He getting out there and fucking kicking ass. Like, that's the Owens I like to see. And it's like I said, when you see a guy that's at his highest, like, I'm not moved by the big guy wrestling unless they can wrestle. Right, and that's like, understandably, like with Bray Wyatt, we understand that's why he doesn't, get the titles, because he's not that great of a wrestler. He's not gonna put on that match. That's why I love Seth Rollins. I love AJ Styles. I love those guys. Ricochet can wrestle. Those guys are gonna give you 5-star matches each and every week. Dolph Ziggler is probably one of the best fucking wrestlers that they don't use.
Yeah, and that's why they have the Intercontinental title and the U.S. title, because those are going to be your wrestling titles. And then you give the big guys that can't really work that well. That's always been Vince McMahon's formula, right? Hulk Hogan. Honestly, until Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, it was always the big guy with the title, and your worker bee was always the Intercontinental champion that everybody paid to go watch.
I mean, in that case, because go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother.
No, I think you're absolutely right. But I mean, what are they doing now with even the United States champion on Monday Night Raw? They're not having anything done with him. This could have been a perfect time. Let's say Sheamus is injured, and he's a perfect guy to be a champion because he's been in WWE so long. He can make anybody look good. This is a perfect time to set up a little tournament for a United States championship. They could have 4 guys that know how to wrestle, like what they were kind of doing with Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo. They could have had 2 more guys in there, maybe done something like that. A fatal 4-way match. Now you have these, one guy that's challenging for the United States champion, and then maybe one of those guys screwed another guy that got pinned, and now you have another storyline to build off of that. Like, they could have done something for the United States Championship, but they really don't, and they don't really focus on the wrestling in ring anymore. These matches are too short, in my opinion. They don't really have the story inside the match anymore. It's a little too quick and focused on the finish. So I'm curious to see what they do with that moving forward.
I think the last match that we can say that had the best storyline was Kofi Kingston. It's probably the last thing that we can sit there and say like that. And even the big guys they dropped the ball with. Baron Corbin's another guy who's a animal. Shinsuke Nakamura, a great wrestler. These guys are like I'm like I said, I'm upset that they are in the main roster because these guys are great wrestlers. They're great, and they put on great matches all the time, even in their short stints. Like Nakamura is the man to me. Like he's always gonna have his way. So I just feel like WWE at some point has to focus on the wrestling, because that's what I go to see. Like I go to see the spots. That's the excitement where you out of your seat, and then you are like I'm excited. Like I'm not excited to see Braun Strowman and Goldberg fucking power slam each other 565 times, and then we finally get a pin.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I want to go off of Anthony's comment that was down there. They throughout next week, it's going to be Karrion Kross, Johnny Gargano. And the interesting thing and this is where I think, unfortunately, I believe Karrion Kross is heading up to the rosters a lot quicker than maybe Bronson Reed beats him there because he did drop the North American title a couple weeks ago. But now they have Karrion Kross against Johnny Gargano next week with a special guest referee. Of course, it's going to be the one, the only Samoa Joe. So now I believe one of two things is happening here. The belt's coming off of Kross, and Kross goes to the main roster, or we find out that Samoa Joe has been cleared, and you're going to get Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. One of those two. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to take the title off of him either way and put the title on Johnny Gargano.
I think it's a perfect time because he's kind of almost turning back into a babyface, right? He had the whole thing with the way. And he's kind of gone into, hey, no more funny business, no more smoke and mirrors, no more none of this stuff. And you can hear the fans kind of get back behind him. And he's kind of turning that corner and becoming a face again. And like Jacare said, these guys can keep you emotionally attached regardless of their face or heel. So I think it's a good time. If he's going to the main roster, which I don't think they should, we've already seen him without Scarlett, which I think is a bad move. It makes him look just a touch weaker, right? They shouldn't be changing his character when they're moving up to the main roster. But if they're moving him to the main roster, this is the right thing to do. This is, either, like you said, take the belts off him with Johnny Gargano, and if Samoa Joe is clear, you keep him on the roster, and then you have him drop the title. Samoa Joe, keep Samoa Joe there. Move Kross back to the main roster, or move Kross over to the main roster.
I mean, I see a fit for Kross on the main roster, though, to be honest. I do. On Raw, especially. I think he fits right in. And also, shit, I wouldn't be surprised if throw his ass on SmackDown. He can be a guy to beat Roman Reigns if you want to put him over.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you also, after SummerSlam, you're going to have supposedly the draft again, so that's going to mix a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, and we know McIntyre's gone to SmackDown.
Well, I thought something interesting McIntyre said leading up to the thing was if he won Money in the Bank, he would be able to get a shot at any title on any brand. And I was like, wait, that's the first time I've heard the Money in the Bank being any brand. I've always heard, you can cash it in when you want, but I guess no. I guess it has been whatever brand you want it to. It just never has probably happened that way, but you can cash it in on any title it says, any title you want. So, but it's very interesting to me hearing him say for the first time that, hey, I'll go after any title on any brand, because we know he can't go after Lashley right now, at least until Lashley loses the title.
And I personally want Money in the Bank to go back to WrestleMania, man.
Yeah.
I think it had a bigger feeling to it and made it more than what it. I think what they did last year, I thought they did a pretty good job when they took it to the main corporate and you had to get up. Although I thought it was very dumb once they got to the roof, they had to get in the ring to get to the briefcase. I thought maybe you just have it sitting like on some kind of nice little I don't know, some little red carpet type thing, and you just
glass
get to the top
cabinet.
of the roof and you
Right.
grab the briefcase and you win. I didn't know they're gonna have a ring there. Then you got to put the ladder in the ring and then climb up again on top of a ceiling. So, but I did think I agree with you, Jakar. I just think that it needs to have that. It has big time feel just because of what it means. You get a contract for any championship at any time, but then having it at WrestleMania, I think, adds that little bit extra to WrestleMania and to that match.
And they can take out the dumb filler matches that we know, like, okay, like the filler. Nah, man, like that would be more explosive to getting a star over at WrestleMania. So a guy like a Ricochet could put on a match of his life at WrestleMania, and he's over after that. Like, you know what I mean? Just equivalent to Seth Rollins. He didn't win Money in the Bank at, he didn't win Money in the Bank that way. But him cashing in at WrestleMania made him Seth Rollins. Like, all you remember is him doing on the stage. Like, so, like, I miss that feel, man. And hopefully Rollins get back to himself, too. But we already know Becky Lynch should be returning soon, so she'll be back in the championship picture. I don't know where she goes. If Seth Rollins goes to Raw, we obviously know they're going to be together, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, and then now we'll be ending up here soon. We're going to be here every Thursday now from now on at 9:00. Myself, Jakari, and Jonathan. As wrestling fans, you guys had a chance to talk to WWE and fix the pay-per-view schedules. What pay-per-views would you bring back and replace that doesn't include the big four? And to be honest, Anthony, I think I would take some away. I think the one every month, AEW, to me, has a good blueprint because you're gearing up towards something. I think, yes, when you were going head-to-head and you had Monday Night Wars and WCW went to 12, you had to go to 12. I understand that. But I think you almost scale back now to make, as what Jakar was just saying about the Money in the Bank, make them have meaning. You don't have to have a pay-per-view for everything. A WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view a month after WrestleMania. I mean, I just think now
with just rematches.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting too much right now, especially with the way COVID is. Because again, the way they use WWE, at least the way they did before the COVID era, was live. Your live shows was where you got the matches that were getting over and over and over on Raw. Raw was always different in different matches because they were able to use the live shows through the week to almost work with the people that they needed to work with. So then when you got to Raw, you didn't have to have that. Now, when you're working once a week, you have to get that timing down. You have to understand your opponent. And you're seeing that's why we have Run It Back Raw every week now. And now SmackDown's turning into the same thing. We're having Shinsuke and Corbin, which I love both of them. But for the 7th time, I think in 7 weeks,
yeah, I'm down with that.
Corbin and Shinsuke again. This time for a Money in the Bank, I believe, role possibly coming in there.
Yeah, so
I want to say what's up for Cat for Life. It is all about Hasbulla. Go ahead, Jacare.
I do agree with you on that. I think that they need to turn it down. I mean, you can have a championship match every 30 days, but like to me, WWE should have 6 pay-per-views a year, not including the big four. Like after WrestleMania, they shouldn't have another pay-per-view until April, May, June. So about June, and then actually, really, I would just have another pay-per-view right after WrestleMania and not have another one like they used to do at WrestleMania. Remember, they never had pay-per-views in between when they first had WrestleMania. They used to have a 2-month build-up.
Yeah. It was Royal Rumble, and then it led into WrestleMania.
Right.
Yeah, so
then they threw in the chamber, and then
Fastlane to WrestleMania.
I think they should use some of the gimmick matches at the big four. To me,
like you don't need a match. You don't need a pay-per-view for Hell in a Cell. Make Hell in a Cell a crazy good match on a loaded pay-per-view card, right? Instead of forcing something where there's really no need. Like this year, you didn't really need Hell in a Cell for for Drew and for Bobby you did, right? But for Bayley and Bianca, I don't think you really needed Hell in a Cell. It was kind of forced, and I think it's a little too much. Like when you have these matches that are forced.
I like it from the standpoint that it showed Bianca Belair's aggression.
Oh, I love the match. Match was great.
Yeah, and the other thing I thought they did poorly, and I understand why they did it, but you gave a Hell in a Cell match on Fox, and then you gave one again on USA before and after. So you had, they moved the Roman Reigns Daniel Bryan to SmackDown. Then you had the pay-per-view, which had two more, and then you had the Xavier Woods and Bobby Lashley on Raw. So there you had 4 matches, and I just think, I think we're all on the same page there. Probably trimming down some, maybe 6, like you said. I think the 6 is a good number. You got your main 4, and then you could throw 2 in there, sprinkle them in. Your Great American Bash possibly in July, something like that.
Because you don't need any pay-per-view going into like the holidays. Ain't nobody like I don't really watch none of this stuff. After SummerSlam in August, I'd be more so like gearing up. I know they're gonna throw out 2 bullshit pay-per-views, Survivor Series. But after Survivor Series, we don't need that, man. We just need Royal Rumble. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
After Survivor Series, I'm not even. To be honest, I
100%.
watch the product, but I don't watch it. So it's more like if I miss that show a week, I know it's going like I'm more geared up about the Rumble. Like I'm more excited about the Rumble. So that's how I feel.
Yep, getting you on the way to WrestleMania. And we're gonna do a segment, and we're gonna be adding segments, I'm sure, throughout the weeks to come here. But the one I thought about was thumbs up and thumbs down. We're gonna give one wrestler, one promotion, one whatever, however you want to do it, fan, whatever you want to do. We're gonna give a thumbs up and a thumbs down. This used to be an old thing, and I'm gonna show my age. The Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines, they used to have a thumbs up and thumbs down section for the wrestlers. So I'm going back to the old school. I'm going back to the printed, and believe it or not, hold on. Oh, 1979 Mil Maskers, Dusty Rhodes there. I still do get magazines, just so you know. Probably one of the few.
That thing's older.
We're going to start with, what was that?
I said that thing's older than me.
Woohoo. I don't think it was printed in 79, but it says 79. But we're going to start with you, Jakari. Are you good to go with thumbs up and thumbs down?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. You're on, Mario.
Thumbs up. Obviously, Roman Reigns. Get the biggest thumbs up. Thumbs down, the whole Raw production team. Thumbs up. I give AEW a thumbs up for how they're crafting. And my last thumbs down will go to the character of Jimmy Uso gets the thumbs down. Got to make better decisions.
yeah, he does, definitely. Jonathan, you're up, man.
Fair point. So I'll do like you did. I'll do one for WWE and one for AEW, or something like that. So my thumbs up, I'm gonna start with the AEW, and I'm gonna give it to that tag team match with the Bucks and then Penta and Eddie. That match was phenomenal. I love the way that you saw him make the decision instead of going and attacking his brother and Penta. He goes and he attacks and he jumps right on the referee. That was great. The way that they had him lose the match twice and it didn't count, great. Thumbs down. I'm going to go to the anything Eva Marie section. Why are they doing this section? They talk about having a women's division, but now they're turning back to it at Devolution where they're fat shaming Piper Niven. You know what I mean? So really big thumbs down for that. Thumbs up. I'm going to go for Roman Reigns. Obviously, you said that. Great. Roman Reigns has done a great job with that. I'll actually switch mine to Matt Riddle because I feel like he's probably one of the most fun faces on the show. And thumbs down, we'll go to... Let's go to everything else on SmackDown that's not Roman Reigns right now because, they're overdoing it with Shinsuke and the whole Baron Corbin thing. They're trying to make Baron Corbin a babyface, maybe making him all sad. I mean, what are they doing with that there? I think they need to have everything else brought up to that level and have that attention to detail like they do with Roman Reigns.
All right. And for me,
one more thumbs up. Through the whole pandemic, Sasha and Bailey carried WWE doing that first half of that. So I want to give a shout out to those two. They're great.
All right. I'm going to start with WWE. And of course, I got to echo everything you guys said about Roman Reigns. And also on the Raw side, I think the Hurt Business, I think MVP and Bobby Lashley as well. What they did with Drew McIntyre and the 3 months of straight matches with them. They're my thumbs up. Thumbs down is just the creative team at Raw. SmackDown now is starting to get there. And again, a lot of this probably due to the COVID situation. You're having to try to, you don't know maybe who's showing up week to week and everything else there. You're trying to get whatever. But when you start getting you're even having Adam Pearce come on and call it Run It Back next week just to make, a point to say that you're running everything back week after week, should say something. Thumbs up in AEW, just a phenomenal show yesterday in Miami. And at the same time, thumbs down because I feel like they're taking some steps back with the women's division. I think they have a great champion in Britt Baker. I think they have a good list of competitors, as we talked about earlier, Red Velvet, Jade Cargill. You go on down Nyla Rose. You can go on and on and on down that whole list, Chris Statlander and everything else. To not have a match and have them set the stage on the first live in front of a returning traveling crowd. I get it. They were in front of Daly's Place and things like that. I thought you might have dropped the ball there on that. And then also a thumbs up to Andrew Green because he gave us the shout out earlier on in the show. So we always got to thank that. And again, we will be here every Thursday night, 9 p.m. We will go live right here. Oh, Sean, before you go, I want your guys' opinions on my pay-per-view schedule. Do you have that pay-per-view schedule? Okay, here we go. All right, Anthony. The pay-per-view schedule. Jakar, you guys ready? Pay-per-view schedule would be Rumble in January, Spring Stampede in March, WrestleMania in April, Heat Wave in June, SummerSlam in August, Fall Brawl in September, Survivor Series in November. Not bad. I think I would go Great American Bash in July, around the July 4th time frame there. Yeah. Go back to what it was the old days, maybe instead of the Heat Wave in June. Spring Stampede, I don't know what you do with that. And again, you know how WWE is. They like to throw the gimmicks in there. I don't want to see another Henry Godwin, Triple H pigpen match or Spring Stampede. I can see that rolling out in that there. But, go ahead, Jakari.
Also, they need to go back to the creative sets.
Yeah, you think every pay-per-view have the creative?
Yeah.
I think the only time they do that now is what, Money in the Bank, right? Because all the ladders, they just throw ladders out there. That's the only difference, really.
And WrestleMania obviously gets there, but I miss that, like especially with Backlash when they used to have the little hanging things and stuff like that. So I think
especially when you watch the old pay-per-views on Peacock or whatever, and you go back and you look at the way the production of some of those. And I said overproduced Raw and SmackDown earlier, but I also feel like there's almost no effort going into some of these pay-per-views these days. It's just like, hey, there's the Gravitron. There you go. Let's go. Let's hit the ring. Hit the ring, guys. Hit the ring. All right, Jakari, parting words, sir.
Great first show with these guys, man, and we look forward to seeing you guys every Thursday. Obviously, all your opinions matter, so you can reach out to me on Twitter, KingJock24. I do the Hurricanes, I do the Dolphins. It's football season time, but I am an avid wrestling fan, so I will be doing wrestling as well. And we will, continue to make this show go and produce great shows, man.
Jonathan, your parting thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I want to, of course, thank everybody in the comments. I want to shout you guys out because this is our first show. So, Andrew, you donated. Anthony, you've been commenting throughout the entire show, staying with us the entire time, brother. Thank you so much. Cap for life, as always. You join us for the MMA shows and the fight shows as well. Skate, D-Lo, and or Sella A. I think that's everybody. I want to thank you guys all for checking us out. Oh, Kai checked us out as well, so appreciate you joining us. Thank you guys all in the comments. Phenomenal show from AEW. Good show. I think my camera just died, so you still might be able to hear me. But great show with you guys. Absolutely fun. The ability to cover wrestling for the first time has just been phenomenal. So I'm blessed for this opportunity. I'm blessed to have you guys next to me. And I just want to say thank you guys for doing this.
And I echo those thoughts. I want to thank you, Jakari. Thank you, Jonathan, for doing this show. We've been talking about it probably for, feels like almost 30 days now, trying to get a time slot. We now have it here every Thursday at 9. And now Jonathan back on with us there. But I want to thank everybody that was in the chat. Jonathan read off all the names and everything else. Any thoughts, comments, suggestions? Of course, you can hit any of us up on Twitter. I'm at Sean_Stanley11. I also live tweet most every event and every Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then also MLW now is going to be, I got that now on my TV. So I'll be able to cover that as well. And also, we're going to be looking to do some interviews as well with some stars from around the different variations, different promotions. So if you have anybody you'd like to hear an interview with, shoot that as well. You can throw it in the YouTube comments, which would be right about down there, I think, over that way somewhere. But for Jakari and Jonathan, I want to say, first off, thank you both. Tremendous. Appreciate everything you've done here. And the show only goes upward from here. And in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.